Hi, everyone. Hope you all had a great lunch. I'm Raghav. I lead product at Gnosis Pay. So let's just dive right into what Gnosis Pay is all about. So what is the current state of Web3? Well, right now there exist two parallel economies. There's the real-world economy and there's the Web3 economy. The real-world economy, it's built over centuries using traditional finance, and that's where almost all of the value lives. But it's built on very inefficient and very archaic technologies that has not evolved as we have evolved with the blockchain technologies. At the same time, we have built this whole parallel economy with the blockchain technologies, which is the Web3 economy. However, these two systems don't really talk to each other. If we have to make them talk to each other, we need to go through centralized exchanges or other inefficient systems, incur a lot of fees. So most people just don't care about it, and they don't bring their Web3 funds into the real world. Well, is that how it should be? I don't think so. A user having two different identities, two different portfolio of assets in two different worlds, that's not the future that we imagine at Gnosis Pay. So with Gnosis Pay, what we want to do is merge these two worlds into one, so that everyone can have one seamless portfolio between the two worlds. They won't need to off-ramp, or they won't need to worry about whether their funds live on the blockchain or whether they live with a bank or something like that. Let's just take a look at what you may need to do if you want to bring your blockchain funds into the real world right now. You have funds on your self-custodial wallet. You'll need to sign a transaction to send that to, let's say, a centralized exchange. Then that centralized exchange will process it. Then you go there to that website, swap it into fiat, and then do a bank transfer to your own bank, and then you'll be able to use it with your card. Well, with Gnosis Pay, we want to make this very seamless, that there's a direct connection between your on-chain funds and your real-world spending. That's how it should be. Why are we doing this? So let's take a look at how payments has evolved over several decades. What started with Diners Club Card in like the 1950s, it has evolved over time to the Bank of America card, which is now known as Visa, to the chip and pin transactions, to NFC, to now that all of your cards basically live on your phone. And everybody loves it. Everybody loves the convenience of just scanning your face with Face ID and then paying wherever you want to. However, that's not how the backend works. The backend technology enabling this whole convenience is very archaic. It's based on a communication standard from 1970s called ISO 8583. And the last time it was revised, like the standard that we still use today, is from 1983. Just imagine how complex it would be to make the technology of today, something like Apple Pay, talk to these standards from 1970s. It becomes very inefficient, and it brings with it a lot of complexity, which then again involves a lot of intermediaries. Let's take a look at intermediaries involved in this process. So what is a regular system between you and the merchant? The relationship is that the bank issues you a card, you go to the merchant, you buy your coffee, and you get it. It's supposed to be a three-party system, and that's how it was imagined in the 1970s. But over time, because of all of these inefficiencies, it has evolved into a 9+ party system. I mean, there's so many intermediaries that it's hard to even keep a track of it anymore. And what eventually happens is the merchant is the one that pays the price for it. This has happened in a lot of industries around the world. And let's take a look at how other industries have dealt with it, the first one being telecom. So, decades ago, I would say 15 years ago, in telecom, everybody used to call, and the transfer of telecom information used to happen on landlines. Then Skype came in with the voice over IP technology, but it did not get a lot of adoption right away. It got adoption when they introduced Skype in and Skype out. The reason being that people don't really want to change their habits. People are happy with calling like they were before. And what Skype in and Skype out enabled was that you can dial in to any Skype call. And that's what drove up the adoption. And now, all of the calls that you do, they basically happen over voice over IP. But nobody really cares. The user, they don't care whether the call is happening over IP or whether it's happening over landline or whatever is the backend technology. Their telecom habits are still the same from before, but the backend has completely changed. We wish to do the same with payments. Right now, these two systems, like we said, like the new technology of blockchain, it does not really exist in the traditional finance infrastructure. And we, with Gnosis Pay, want to connect these two so that in the future, you don't need to worry about how your payment is being processed. You continue with the same payment habits. However, the backend has completely changed and become much more efficient. So we solve both of these problems with Gnosis Pay. Let us dive into how payments work with an example. So the user goes to a coffee shop and taps the card to buy a €5 coffee. What actually happens is the card basically sends a request to the payment terminal, the little machine that you tap your card to, that sends a request to the acquirer bank. Acquirer bank is the bank to which the merchant is tied to, which sends the request to the scheme, which is Visa and MasterCard, and which sends a request to the issuer, which is could be a bank, could be a neobank, or somebody who's issuing you the card, and is custodying those funds, safeguarding those funds on your behalf. And that bank then sees whether there's a balance to enable you to buy that coffee, and if it does, it places the block on that. This all happens on a simple system of custody of assets. If there was no custody of assets, the bank wouldn't be able to do this. And this is not what we imagine the future to be. This is based on a trust scenario, this is based on a custody system, and we want the future to be self-custodial and trustless. So in this process, the user gets the coffee, it sends back an approved message, and the user walks away. But that's not how the merchant sees it. The merchant doesn't get their money right away. Many people don't know, but the merchants get their money 2 to 7 days later, and they don't even get the complete money. They get after reduction of several fees introduced by all of these intermediaries, based on a lot of inefficiencies like I talked before, and they get their money like after 3 to 5% of deduction. That price ultimately gets baked into the price of whatever the user purchases, and this basically means the whole economy is inefficient by 3 to 5%. How Gnosis Pay works? Well, we follow a similar concept, but the key difference is that the funds are not safeguarded by us, the funds are not custodied by us. Yes, the request flows in a similar way, that it goes from the terminal to the acquirer, to the scheme, and then to the issuer, where we act as the issuer. However, we don't custody the funds. The funds live on a safe on the blockchain. We see whether those funds are there, and through a spending module, which is enabled by the user on the safe, we take those funds to the settlement safe. This spending module cannot be changed arbitrarily by us. It can only be configured by the user. So it doesn't violate the trust assumptions and the self-custody assumptions of a safe smart account. And that's the authorization. And during clearing and settlement, these funds basically get converted into euros and get sent to the merchant through Visa. So to enable all of this, we have built extensive infrastructure over the last year, which is what we call the DPN, the Decentralized Payment Network. And it involves not just the layer 2, which we are building with the help of Polygon ZK EVM technology, but also other systems which help connect the blockchain technology with the traditional payment railways. So being able to connect with SEPA, Visa, MasterCard, and all of this with blockchain, we have built several services which make sure that the funds reach the final destination, which is, of course, the merchant from the user. Let's take a look at what do we have now. So I kind of like to use the analogy of the Google Pixel here. Just like Android is an open system that is offered to phone manufacturers, that they can use Android operating system to build their phones, but still Google has the Google Pixel at what Android could be and to explore the possibilities of it. Just like that, we have Gnosis Card. So to explore the possibilities of Gnosis Pay and to bring into the world and imagine like a manifestation of what Gnosis Pay enables, we have Gnosis Card, which is available to pre-order now at a cost of 30.23 euros. And of course, it comes with no fees on any spend. It's available all across Europe, and you are able to spend your crypto at any of the 80 million merchants already enabled by Visa across the world. Let's take a look at how the Gnosis Card works. So you can go to gnosispay.com and order a card. What happens is you first need to connect your wallet. This wallet will be the owner of the safe that we deploy in the process. Then you go through KYC. During KYC, it'll be just like a regular card KYC that you upload your proof of address, you upload your ID, and you take a selfie. Once that is done, we deploy the safe smart accounts for you. Your EOA becomes the one of an owner of that safe. And then we also, with our partners at Monerium, give you an IBAN. All of this is linked to the safe smart account. The card is then produced and mailed directly to you, to your address provided. And then you have two ways that you can fund this safe. One is your regular way that you can send funds on the blockchain from any EVM-compatible change, any token, to our supported stablecoins, which includes EURO-E right now. And the other way is that the IBAN that we give you, you can just send euros to that IBAN, and what happens in the background is EURO-E gets minted and gets deposited in the safe smart account. We'll do on-chain transaction monitoring of these funds to make sure that they don't come from any illicit sources, they don't come from any hack or any exploits. And once we have determined that all of these funds are clean, which happens instantly, you can start spending it, just like you already do at any Visa merchant. And you can continue to manage the card, you can see your transactions and everything like a regular card. There's nothing different about it. And every Gnosis Pay account, like I explained, gets an IBAN, which enables you to on-ramp easily with SEPA transactions in seconds. So how this works is, just like I explained, you just send funds to this IBAN, and it immediately appears in your Safe Smart account. So what this enables is, again, one identity, one portfolio of assets, and like the synonymity between crypto and fiat. A user shouldn't care whether these funds are in stables on blockchain or in euros with an XML file on a database of a bank. They can have funds in any way with the Gnosis Pay plus IBAN combination, and they can do that to do anything that they wish to do with money, which is they can spend with it through the card, they can do bank transfers with it, they can purchase investment opportunities, like they can purchase crypto assets, they can purchase traditional investment products, and since at its core, it's a safe smart account, you can connect to dApps and explore the wide array of technologies available on DeFi. So yeah, we are building for everyone to bring the next billion users into crypto. No, we are building for everyone to unlock the users that already are on crypto and bring those billions of blockchain funds into the real world. What does this mean? Well, what this means is that we are building for everyone and all the Web3 companies and wallets out there. Any Web3 company, any wallet, they want to enable payments as a mechanism for the users to interact. They can come to us, use our technology, and we will operate as a B2B network to operate in the background and support them in everything. They don't need to worry about anything else other than just providing a great user experience to their users. They will be the one that own the users, and we'll be the technology enablers. What this means is that we are the ones connecting to traditional finance payment railways. We are the ones making sure that the clearing and settlement works, taking care of card manufacturing, logistics, the whole technology behind this, the L2, and we will provide seamless API integrations for wallets to integrate with this whole DPN, and they need to just enable through the UI, through the front end, for the users to be able to use this card. Where is it available? Well, we are available all across Europe right now, and we're working hard to expand to North America by the end of the year. And our plan is to expand into Latin America and Asia in the next year. Well, Gnosis Pay cannot be made possible without the extensive support of our partners, so a big thank you to all of them. A few of them you will all also find at DappCon, so that's great. And yeah, like I explained before, you can pre-order your card right now through this QR code. You can go to gnosispay.com and pay for it, and it'll be shipping later this year. Thank you.
OK, guys, so let's open it up for questions.
Just before we get into questions, we are looking for front-end, back-end, full-stack devs as well. So just come meet us at the booth or reach out to any of us from the Gnosis Pay team. Now let's open it up for questions.
Come here.
Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah, let's go.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Thanks. Very nice presentation. I think there are some things that I want to mention that is not accurate. For example, you mentioned that the transaction cost is actually 5%. It's not completely accurate because, for example, the debit card transaction can be as low as 5 cents, and the credit card normally costs 2 or 3% if it's cross-border. And the problem is, so card scheme, let's say, they charge around 1%. So now if you make a Gnosis Pay connect to, for example, Visa, they will still charge you 1% if it's, that is something maybe we should get rid of. And there are some fundamental problems. So now Gnosis costs no transaction. There's no transaction cost. But if you look at Ethereum, that can be as much as 10 euro. So if you buy €5 coffee and then cost 10 euro, that will be a problem. So one fundamental problem is that you need to make sure that the Gnosis blockchain is always as cheap as possible. So actually that's something I want to think about. And another fundamental problem is if you put your wallet on chain, then everyone will be able to see this wallet by what? So how do you solve this problem? Because for example, there are something I don't want to ask the other people to know, let the other people to know what I buy, correct?
Yeah.
So that's actually
So multiple questions there, so I'll just answer each one of them one by one. So the first one is about how much fees does it actually incur in a regular debit card or credit card transactions. That varies around the world. I mean, in Europe, you have law around it, which caps the fees that issuers can charge. So it can be as less as 1% in Europe to as high as 5% for an international credit transaction in US. Yes, right now we are connecting to Visa, so those fees are still incurred by the merchant. But like I explained, like what we're trying to do is connect these two worlds right now so that in the future, all of this processing, all of these intermediaries do the processing on the blockchain so you can connect directly to the merchant. So it's a step-by-step process that we'll get to. The second question was around the fees on the blockchain. So we are building our own layer 2 using Polygon zkVM, and we are trying to make it gasless so that we don't face the same issue that Ethereum right now faces with high fees on transactions. So that'll be a terrible user experience that you go to buy a coffee of €5 and what gets deducted is €10. And then the third question about the privacy, like when you spend, all of your transactions are visible on chain. So that's in our roadmap that we will bundle transactions up together, and then we'll process them. So we can bundle them up like daily, we can bundle them up like hourly or something, and that can be configured by the user in the future as well. That's something that we're building towards.
Okay, thanks.
Go for it.
Thank you for your talk. Two quick questions. First, could you elaborate on the safe that would be deposited if I order a car? So what is the quorum? Who are the co-signers? And second, regarding the issuer of the Euro stablecoin, what is its basically abilities to potentially block me or censor my transactions in the stablecoin part of the scheme?
Mm-hmm. So the first thing, the safe, when you create the card, it'll be a one-of-one safe. Once you start activating the card, we'll enable a spending module on it. You will determine what the spending module should be, and that resets based on the frequency that you set. So let's say it's like a €200 spending module, so every day we're allowed to draw up to €200. We will be one of the signers on the safe, but we cannot spend more than the ones that you allow, and we cannot change how much you allow. So the spending module can only be configured by you. The second thing about the issuer of Euro E, so that's Monerium. I think they're talking right after me as well, so they'll be able to expand more on that. But essentially, like whatever you transact with Euro E on chain, nothing can stop you from that. But when it comes and touches fiat, that's when like KYC and KYT comes in. I think there's a question there.
First, second.
Okay, I share the privacy concerns of the previous person. Businesses, small businesses have, privacy is less of a concern for small businesses. Are you able to onboard like freelancers, digital nomads who have, and this audience has actually a big overlap with the crypto community right now, so this may be a really good market for you, but are you able to onboard them, small businesses?
Yes, of course. Any user that, can be onboarded. And in the future, we'll also be issuing corporate cards so businesses can give cards to their employees. So the second question was there.
Thank you for the talk. The first one is a kind of a request. Please enable existing saves to be the savings account. The other one is the spending module, what you're using, is it automated or has it to be triggered manually by the user? And the third one I forgot, so just my question.
That's okay. So the first thing, like enabling existing safes. So since this safe is a bit unique, It has a spending module, and it's on Gnosis chain right now, and the L2 in the future. So right now, we are not supporting existing safes to be the safe that the savings account. But in the future, of course, we'll do that. And the second thing, the spending module. Spending module is enabled by the user once the card is activated, and they can change it anytime, but they won't need to initiate it every day. Hope that answers your question.
No, it's just to clarify. So I was not clear if you have to move money to the spending account and how it's done.
Yeah. So
that's the question.
Yeah. So basically, the spending account, like the safe on the L2, you will need to move funds there. So only the cards that are on the L2 will be the ones able to be spent with the card. Okay, there's a question here. And
question there, and
question there.
thereafter.
Hi, my question is about the networks. So you're running on Gnosis chain and you're moving to ZK EVM.
Mm-hmm.
What's the factors driving that? Like, what's missing? Is it all about scalability or cost or what?
So multiple things. The basis right now is L1, which is Gnosis chain, and the L2 will be based on Polygon ZK EVM. The first reason for that is how quickly you respond to the schemes. So let's say we get a payment request. We are supposed to respond within 2 to 3 seconds to the scheme that, yes, these funds are there, and process it on the blockchain as well. But Gnosis chain has a block time of about 5 seconds right now. So that's one of the first reasons. The second reason is scalability. So as users increase on Gnosis chain, there'll be, like, the fees will increase. Right now, the fees are very low on Gnosis chain, but there is a fee market there. So the second reason, of course, is enabling that there is no fees on the L2 and make it much more scalable.
Thanks.
Question.
Yeah.
Question. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned this when you were talking, but regarding privacy, like already when we do transactions with the Visa card, we have like a historical of what we're doing and what we do, and we can, like, corporations and companies can track, like, they can track what we do and what we spend the money. Like, and based on top of that, we are going to have already the transactions recorded in chain, which are public available, while your bank account records, you cannot, no one can access to it unless, like, an authority asks for it. Like, but now we're going to have transactions also in the chain. Like, what is the incentives for me to use this, and how much transactions public available for everyone in the chain? And I don't know, like, I can be traced by whoever, I don't know, about actor, or like, I don't know, like why would I want to use this also to have my transactions in the chain? Besides yes, I can spend my crypto easily, but everyone can see my transactions. Like, why would I want to use this?
So, like, what exactly is the question there?
Like, why do I want my transactions, my bank account transactions on chain also?
They'll be bundled up, so you won't be a user or somebody else won't be just able to see how much you're spending in each transaction. And yes, it's true that companies involved in the payment process, like all of the intermediaries that I talk about, the payments go through them, so they do have that historical data. But a regular user just can't, tap into that database and see those transactions. And that is something that we hope that in the future, with this, also with the bundling of transactions, nobody will be able to, draw some intelligence from that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, there's.
Yeah,
go for it.
You mentioned that you were able to instantly validate the source of the funds. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering about topping up cards on chain rather than depositing through the account side. If you were to acquire your funds through something like CowSwap, I mean, how do you validate where they're coming from? Or will you be like labeling pools as poisoned or?
Yeah, so that's right. Like, on-chain transaction monitoring comes into place. So any transaction that gets deposited in the safe that is linked to the card, we screen up to 20,000 steps before that, whether it's linked to any illicit funds. So let's say it comes from a hack or somebody who's sanctioned or anything like that, that doesn't violate the risk assumptions of our licensed partners. We check for all of that. So it is possible on-chain to track all of that. You can do that through several tools.
Okay, cool. We have 2 questions. There and there.
Thank you. The name of the talk is Decentralization for Anyone, Anywhere. However, the very last words of the presentation says that it's just available for some people in some places. So what part of Gnosis Pay is actually available to anyone, anywhere?
So it is available all across Europe for anyone. There's nothing restricting a specific person to not order the card unless they don't get through KYC, which is like they submit a fraudulent document or something like that. So yeah, it is still available for anyone. And about the anywhere, we are available in Europe right now, and we are actively building towards being able to support users all across the world.
Also, you're talking about the network, right? The network is global.
Yeah. Okay, where is the mic?
Microphone, yeah, here, and then we have another question.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Thank you very much. Just a little comment on the question we just had. We are a company that don't have a bank account, and having a card to use our safe now is really handy, right? So actually, you can have a company and not have a regular old school bank account. It is kind of a bank account, I know, because you have an IBAN, but yeah, it's not. We don't go to a bank and open an account. My question is, where is your cut? And like, where do you make money? And also, what can you do? Like, you are just a guest in the visa system, so how dangerous is it for you to get thrown out if you do certain things? Like, you get too dangerous to the other participants, the other intermediaries. What are your risks?
Yeah, so I would say like Gnosis Pay in its journey has been more of an operational and admin issue than technological issue, because dealing with all of these regular Web2 traditional companies is the bigger hurdle. That convincing Visa, convincing other licensed partners that this is okay, that this is okay to bring blockchain funds into the fiat world. And we have been able to convince them, and that's how we enable this. So that risk is what we have been de-risking for the better half of the last 2 years. And about where's our cut, so basically, we are the issuer, so we get the interchange that we're allowed to cut from the fees. And since you're a B2B network and wallets will be the one that we give our technology to, they'll be the one essentially issuing with their own branded cards. We pass that interchange on to them. Yeah, where's the mic?
We have a question there, and then we have 2 questions here.
Hi, thank you for the talk. So first of all, I wanted to ask, every bank account that is open is not a sub-account, is your own sort of individual account, I suppose it's so, since you're getting an IBAN. Second, the taxes, unfortunately. So like in Germany, whatever, Finanzamt is only interested in your income, they're not interested in your expenses. So I would think that if a financial institution only sees the off-chain version that gets transferred to you, so every single coffee you buy is a separate sort of income, or at least what hits your bank account, that would make a nightmare out of trying to deal with it with your accountant. So what are the real advantages for me instead of, I don't know, it depends from where you get your crypto, of course, but if you replenish your Euro account in bulk, then you just have one transaction. If you have thousands of smaller like coffee transactions hitting your bank account, then it's 1,000 transactions. So I don't know if you're thinking about that. And a small technical question is, will they support Apple Pay? But it's nothing comparing to the first questions. Thank you.
Okay, so first, the easy question, which is Apple Pay. Yes, it will support Apple Pay, so you'll be able to add your Gnosis card to Apple Pay, and of course, Google Pay as well. About the tax implications, I'll be honest, I don't have a right answer to it, so it'll be wrong of me to give you an answer here. So let's just discuss this at the booth, and we'll add it to the FAQs on the website as well. I'm not the right person to answer that question. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, guys, we are up for time right now. If you want any further ask any further question, you can come to the booth. So thanks, Raghav.
Thank you.